For this grant that I got, I literally didn't have to do anything except for go up, speak to the right people, get on the right list, make sure I had my FAFSA filled out, and all of a sudden free money popped up. The idea that you have to take out student loans and that 100% of your education will be funded by student loans is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and don't let anybody tell you that that is the truth. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Joy, and over here we talk about dental school, getting you into dental school, and whatever else comes to mind. If you are returning, thank you for coming back, and if you are new, hello and it's good to meet you. Today we'll be talking about a topic that is very near and dear to all dental students' lives, that goes for pre-dental students, current dental students, and people who have already graduated who are actually dentists at this point. And that topic is money, because dental school is not cheap. That is a universal fact that we all know and do not enjoy. But it's something we have to deal with if dentistry is something that you want to pursue. Now, initially I was not going to film this video quite so soon into starting my channel, but due to recent events and a certain someone who shall remain nameless, well, not nameless, anonymous, because I will give him a different name, he decided to make a general statement about me and all dental students that is simply just not correct, and I don't like the bad attitude and the bad energy he was bringing. Now, this person that I'm talking about, let's call him, okay, so is in this Facebook group where pre-dental students ask questions and other pre-dental students and current dental students answer those questions. Now, these are a bunch of hopeful people who are like, I want to be a dentist, I'm applying to dental school, I'm taking the DAT, all these things. They're very excited and, you know, looking forward to their future. In this group, you should be very honest, but also very encouraging to these students. The original post was something about, despite all the hardships that go along with dental school, why do you persist? So in my response to this post, I had a couple different things, but one of the things I said was that I was looking forward to the money associated with dentistry. Now that's my business and my answer to this question. So when I looked a few hours later and saw this response to my answer to the question, I was a bit stunned, and I will read it for you all verbatim. Joy Walls, you can't do dentistry for the money, considering how much debt you will incur for your education. Tuition has gone up by 25 times in not even 50 years, and a dentist's income has not increased at anything close to that rate. Okay, I did not know that you worked at the registrar's office and the financial aid office at my school, because last time I checked, I don't pay tuition for dental school. I pay for my living expenses and fees not covered in the exemption, but I don't pay tuition. So for you to be in my mentions talking about how I can't do dentistry for the money, very interesting and also very inaccurate. So I had to get him together real quick, and that is what this video is about. And I thank you all for watching. So just keep in mind, okay? He's not going to be the main focus of this video because it's my video, but without further ado, let's get into it. According to the American Dental Education Association, or ADEA, the average educational debt for all dental school graduates in the class of 2019 was $292,169, with the average public and private schools at $261,305 and $321,184. But 17% of all 2019 grads didn't have debt at all. So how is the question? How do these people, how did this 17% graduate without student debt? And that is what we will get into today. Now, I'm not an advocate for student loans or taking out loans to pay for school, but if that's what you have to do, then that is what you have to do. But there are also other ways to pay for dental school. Student loans are not the only way. Now, depending on what you are willing to do and how serious you are about graduating with zero debt, you have options. Before we get into the FAFSA and the scholarship application for your school that you have chosen and they have chose you, we need to talk about picking dental schools to, apply to. Yes, you want to get into a dental school, and sometimes it's not always feasible to get into the cheapest one or your top choice, but when you are compiling your list of schools to apply to, take into account where are these schools located. Are they in an expensive part of the country? If you're going to school in New York City, that's going to cost a lot more than going to school in Mississippi, for example. I don't even think there is a dental school in Mississippi. There is one in Alabama, so let's use Alabama. A school in New York City is going to cost a lot more to attend and also to live in than going to school in Alabama. Your rent is going to be lower. Food is going to be cheaper there as well. Just living in general is going to be cheaper than it is going to be in New York City. That also goes for going to school in LA or San Francisco or the District of Columbia, because DC is expensive, and I knew better because I definitely did get an interview at Howard where I was already going to undergrad, but I was like, would I rather stay there and have to pay all this money, one for private school education and to live in the District of Columbia, or am I going to bring myself back to Texas where I know that things are going to be a lot cheaper? So school location and school of choice, private school, public's going to be cheaper than a private school. And also, if you're lucky enough to have state residency for a public school that you are interested in going to, go ahead and apply to it, because that in-state tuition is going to save you a lot of money. Fill out your FAFSA. If you've never done this before, you probably should have, and for dental school it's going to be really important, because even if you are not taking out student loans, a lot of times if there are grants or other things available, you would have had to fill out a FAFSA in the first place. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and it only takes about 10 minutes to fill out. It's free, it's online, and you can do it. And if you don't know how to fill it out, they do help you on the application a little bit. You can also ask your parents or ask YouTube and find one of those videos that tells you how to do it. But you do need to fill it out. That is what you need to do as soon as you are accepted into dental school. Fill out your FAFSA and make sure that you put your school as somebody to receive it, so they will have it on file. The next thing you want to do is fill out your school's application for scholarships. Now, I don't know if every school is like this, but mine has a general application for scholarships for their students. Every year they tell us that 80% of students take out student loans, but only 60% of students fill out the scholarship application. Now that is not adding up. You will go ahead and take out a loan before you fill out this scholarship application. Maybe it takes you an hour, hour and a half, but what is an hour and a half compared to thousands of dollars that you are potentially missing out on? So please fill that out. Next, we're going to talk about the Health Professions Scholarship Program. And that is a program for people who are interested in going into the military. So the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army, they all have programs where you can agree to a certain term of service, and in exchange they will pay for all of your school, tuition, fees, and even give you a stipend on top of it so that you can live comfortably while going to school. Now, this is not something that I have experience with personally, but I do know people who have enrolled in this program, and it works great for them. You get to graduate debt-free and you have a job when you exit, but you do have to apply to this program. It gets pretty competitive, and if you do get into it, there is also a GPA that you do have to keep throughout your entire 4 years in order to keep your scholarship. If you're not interested in going into the military, maybe this isn't the best option for you, but if you are and you are very interested in getting your school paid for, I would say go for it. Just apply, you never know what will happen. There's also the National Service Corps, kind of along the same lines, where you agree to a certain term of service, and in exchange they will pay for tuition, fees, and a stipend on top of that as well. Now I'm going to talk about how I pay for dental school. As of right now, I have not paid a single cent in tuition while being in dental school, and I'm very grateful for that, and I will tell you all how now. In the great state of Texas, there is this thing called the Hazelwood Act. The Hazelwood Act is a state of Texas benefit that provides qualified veterans, spouses, and dependent children with an education benefit of up to 150 tuition hours of exemption. This includes most fee charges at public institutions of higher education in Texas. This does not include your living expenses, books, or supply fees. But this is an amazing thing. I think in 2005 they extended it to children of veterans, so that is how I am working this out. Both of my parents served in the Navy, and that's where they met, and then they got married and moved to Texas. But moral of that story is they both have Texas residency, and I have Texas residency, and I got into a public school in Texas. So this works for any public schools in Texas. This could be undergrad, graduate, doing your master's, whatever. This could pay for your education. Now you can only get 150 hours. So both my parents, that's 150 and 150, but under me, under my social security number, I cannot use more than 150 hours. So I do know that sometime next year, in my 4th year, this benefit will run out and I will have to find a different way to pay for school. But as of right now, these hours are being used. I am not paying tuition, and I could not be more grateful to God and my parents and just the fates for making all this come together and happen for me. Now, this doesn't mean that I have not taken out student loans, because my parents are not just going to sit here and pay my rent and my food and my car and all of that stuff. They do pay for some of that, and I'm grateful as well. But I did take out student loans just to pay for the majority of my living expenses. This year I was lucky enough not to have to take out any, but that's not the norm, and I don't see that happening in my 4th year. Outside of the military and veteran acts and stuff like that, there are also scholarships that you can apply for, like outside scholarships. I don't know if y'all did this in college, but I did. You can apply to scholarships from companies or organizations, and you just fill out the application, you write yourself an essay, maybe you have to do a video, but then they select the winners, and you'll get a check for $5,000, $2,000. Honestly, any little bit helps here, and it's free money. Also, once you get into school and you start getting in the groove of things, you can also look around and see what kind of research is going on, if any of it's paid research. I actually ended up getting a grant for research that I was doing, and it was $2,000. I mean, it's only $2,000, but in the grand scheme of things, any little bit helps. Also, visit your financial aid office often and just ask them, hi, are there any scholarships I can apply to? Hi, are there any grants I can apply to? Because if you just get on the list, you never know what could happen. My first year I went and I was like, hi, is there like a Texas public grant application that I can fill out? And they're like, oh, all the funds have been given out already, but we can put you on the list and see what happens. I got on the list, and like a month later, I got an email talking about, here's $7,000. Now, that $7,000 doesn't go directly to your bank account, but if you took out student loans, that amount will be subtracted from your student loans. So for this grant that I got, I literally didn't have to do anything except for go up, speak to the right people, get on the right list, make sure I had my FAFSA filled out, and all of a sudden free money popped up in my little tuition and fees activity log. I didn't have to do anything. Now, if all of these things fail and you don't really apply for any of these, you don't get the scholarships, you don't get the grants, and you don't get into a tuition payment program, that means that maybe you will have to take out student loans, because working during school is really not feasible. I really wouldn't recommend it, especially not in the first 2 years. Say you graduated, you have all this money in student loans, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm a dentist now, I'm making my salary, but this isn't really enough to efficiently pay on these loans. There are loan repayment programs. Now, some of these are for working in public health. So for example, these aren't real numbers because I don't know for sure, but let's just say you agree to go work in the boonies of Texas. You go work in the boonies, public health site, and this program will give you a big old check for $80,000, and that money goes directly to your student loan balance. So 2 years, $80,000, and you're still getting paid a salary. That's a pretty good deal in my opinion. If that's what your situation is and you want help, then you can do that. The idea that you have to take out student loans and that 100% of your education will be funded by student loans is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and don't let anybody, not even tell you that that is the truth. So you do not have to end up in $500,000 in debt to attend dental school That is not true. It doesn't have to be your reality. If you do not make the correct choices, if you apply to your dream school in LA, living the dream, being close to the beach that you won't even have time to go to, and end up, you know, having to pay $100,000 a year to attend school, then maybe you will end up in that much debt by the time you finish. But there are choices you can make, there are avenues you can take to avoid that. Now, as we come to the end of this video, let's revisit Mr. I was really a little bothered by his comment, okay? But I talked to my mom, we talked it over, and she was like, you know what? He's probably just upset that he's paying $1 bajillion a year to go to school. And I was like, you're right. So I went and I clicked on his profile. I saw where he went to school. So I just did a little typing and I saw on his school's website, this is a school in the Midwest, okay, where you would assume that things don't cost too much, but it is a private school and I guess it's expensive. And they had their prices posted, you know, for the year. And according to this, for the class that just graduated, the tuition was $64,660. That's just tuition. That doesn't include fees and everything. After tuition, fees, and living expenses, they said that the cost of attendance is $107,012.53. What year was that? That was in 2017. It is now 2020. It's been 3 years, and you know tuition has gone up since then. So moral of this story is this man was really upset because he's probably paying $120,000 a year to attend school, and he's mad about it. So do not be like, choose a school that will choose you back and that will treat you and your bank account kindly, or just not as terribly. And do you apply to your scholarships, fill out your FAFSA, and look into other ways to pay for school so that you don't end up like. Thank you all for watching. Please like this video, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Good luck with your dental school process, and that's all. Y'all have a good one. Bye.